one, tarnation!
I meant to do that.
Howdy folks, this is Applegeek. Well, Season 9 is finally underway. I finally got my premiere reaction posted after significant delays due to the convention and being sick and all that fun stuff, but that's finally published and comments have been awesome so far and everything. And now I finally get to try and play a little catch-up here and watch Episode 3. And thankfully I am blissfully unaware of what this episode is about. So, without any further ado, let's go ahead and give this a watch, starting now. Oh, Silverstream! Oh! I'm happy we're getting back to the students right away. Superhero landing!
Silverstream, you're officially the first non-Pegasus Wonderbolt.
Wait,
Really?
what?
That is such an honor.
No, it can't be that easy.
Thank you, Professor Dash. Easy. You're kicking off our show right now. So get up there and make me proud. Wait.
Okay, this is a dream.
Silverstream. Somehow I missed a class all year and the
Oh,
final is today. If I don't pass, I can't graduate.
I have had that dream. I have had that dream. What?
Whoa, that was weird.
Okay, it's a dream. Anything goes.
Even weirder.
Like, how many times are we gonna almost hurt Yona? Oh!
This isn't mine.
I love that we've come back to that. Oh, fear of enclosed spaces. Okay. Fear of falling. Fear. Okay, it's like worst fears here. That's like a trippy room there. What? What is this?
All answered my summons.
She was not dead! She's not dead! I knew it!
This isn't my dream? Friends must be dreaming together.
More like a nightmare.
I know, right? How do I pick just one? They all look so good.
That's
Sandbar.
your version of a bad
Focus.
dream. But why did you bring us here, Headmare Twilight? I am
That's
not
the
Twilight.
no.
I am merely the messenger. You all must hurry. The Tree of Harmony needs you.
Oh yeah! Oh yes! Yes! Right back to Twilighting. Oh, we are hitting this season hot and heavy here. This. I have no idea where this is going, but this is huge. I knew Harmony was still out there. I called that, so... And now she's actually, like, summoning them, like, oh...
Looking good.
Nice.
Spike, I have horrible news.
Wait?
What's wrong? Is the Crystal Empire under attack again?
No.
No, we only have 20 highlighters, and they're all orange. How will every creature color code their notes?
I'm pretty sure you're the only one that does that.
Still, 20 isn't enough for the new school year.
We got plenty of time to order more.
Uprooted. Oh, uprooted. Okay.
Now?
Oh,
Well, this is a surprise.
Poor
Why are
Yona.
you all here so early? Did I send out the wrong back-to-school date?
Nope.
We're not here for school.
Yeah, we're back because the Tree of Harmony called us here.
Did she even...
Don't feel bad it didn't reach out to you. You kind of have a special connection with it after last year.
The tree couldn't have called you. It's gone.
Did she even know about that? That's unclear.
Maybe next time he's in with those truth bombs. What about the elements of harmony?
Those
Oh,
are
wait.
gone too. But doesn't that mean the Everfree Forest will take over Equestria?
I've been there, done that.
Under control. And Sombra won't be coming back. So, some good news, right?
So did Harmony appear to them before the tree died?
Can we see the tree ourselves? Or what's left
Oh
of it?
man, this
As
is
long as
like...
we promise to stick together. The castle of the two sisters isn't the safest place, as you may remember. Yona nuts! scared of puck-wedgies anymore.
Puck-wedgies,
We're
yes.
full school from evil. Hey,
He does have a point.
I don't think we've ever had like an initial episode at following a premiere be such a direct tie-in. Wow.
if only we hadn't gone home for summer break. Maybe
Oh,
we could
no.
have saved the tree.
No, do not start blaming yourselves.
I wish that somber guy was still around so we could teach him a lesson. That's not bring back tree or elements of harmony.
That would have been fun to see, honestly.
Wait! We all saw and heard the tree in our dream, right? How could it talk to us if it was really gone?
Yes.
Maybe if we close our eyes and think really strong friendship thoughts, the tree will get better.
Tap your heels 3 times and think of home. Yes, that was a miserable attempt at a Wizard of Oz reference. No.
No. I guess the tree really is gone.
Then we need to do something to honor it.
Good idea, Gallus.
Hey, maybe that's why the tree called us. It must have used the last of its magic to make sure we'd come here and keep its memory alive.
It did say it needed us.
Oh, Celis!
What? Rock.
There you are!
Oh, no.
I've just been worried sick. Why did you leave without telling us? The last time you and your friends did that, it almost brought our kingdoms to war.
Oh no.
Sorry, Thorax. It was an emergency.
Well, next time, ask before you run off. Now come on, let's go home.
Are there other Guardians gonna show up here too? Aw.
Wait, she can't leave. We have a dragon quest.
But she's not a dragon.
So.
You know what I mean.
Oh!
All your friends need to help the tree.
And it might take a while.
Can we stay, Headbear Twilight?
Oh, why not? Yes.
Well, as long as you get permission from your kingdoms, I suppose it's all right.
You want that permission slip in triplicate, or is one enough? Like to be prepared.
Wow. Okay, Gallus is very prepared. What, you gotta arm wrestle to get a permission slip? Of course you do. It's the Dragonlands. Nice. That's adorable. Oh, what's this one gonna be? Okay. Okay. Their version of beating rugs or something? Oh, yeah, okay. Assisting household chores, whatever. Aww. Yes. I love how they've, like, each race has their own little rituals that they have to do for this. Get out of here! Oh! I like the new changelings. What? Okay, she's like telling the entire story. That art was amazing.
Hey, you're back! Great! Since I live local, I figured I'd do a little cleaning up while you were gone. Give us a
What
hint.
did you have to do to... Oh well.
Sandbar, where's the tree?
I got rid of it to make room for a memorial.
You did this?
Yeah. That's what
Okay.
you guys were thinking, right?
So not. How can we remember the tree if it's totally gone?
Oh, it's not gone. Look. I
What?
planted a new tree.
I think I see where this is going.
No, that's not the same tree, right?
But it's a symbol, you know?
Pony heart in right place.
Ah,
Aw.
it doesn't matter. This cave was supposed to stay exactly the same so future creatures could come visit and experience the memory of the tree.
Sorry, every creature. I thought I was helping.
The Tree of Harmony is a huge part of equestrian history. If we're gonna honor it, we need to do better than that. Yeah,
Okay.
like lots of artwork that represents the symbolism and deep emotions of the tree.
No, it should be a museum with all the tree's history and artifacts.
Or a really big and imposing monument, so every creature knows how powerful the tree was.
I think we should turn this cave into
Okay.
a place for creatures to reflect on the tree's true gift, the elements of harmony.
Boring.
Can't you do all of those things?
What's more perfect than another tree?
What would have Mayor Twilight want?
Yona, you've been awfully quiet.
Oh.
Which idea do you like best?
Yona like when friends not argue. Maybe
Aw.
friends listen to each other and make plan together?
Compromise. Oh, come on. I'm with you, Yona.
Hey, little guy. Need a drink?
Step right up. Walk this way. Welcome to the one, the only Harmony Museum. Come see the birthplace of the tree.
Have you been taking
The tears of a basilisk, contended day and night.
Listen, have you been taking lessons from Flim and Flam?
This is truly one of the wonders of Equestria.
Oh my word.
Dallas, none of that actually true.
So, honoring the tree means giving it a story that creatures will care about.
It already has a great story.
This is
Yeah,
true.
but mine makes more sense.
Whatever.
No.
Just keep it down. My sapling doesn't like the noise.
Good. It doesn't belong in the tree's memorial anyway. And if you think this is great, just wait
You know?
until you see the mystical cave of harmony.
Seriously, the Flim and Flam should be trying to hire this guy. No, this is like the first, like, legit conflict that this group has had, I think. Wow, those moves.
What dragon doing? Making a memorial statue of the tree. When creatures see this, they'll be super impressed. Look like rock. Not. I'm not finished yet. And honestly, I'm kind of having a hard time remembering what the tree looked like. I can't believe I'm already forgetting.
There's gonna be pictures of it somewhere. Where's Photo Finish when you need her?
Needs more loyalty.
Yona,
What color is that?
Not yet.
what hippogriff painting?
It's the tree, silly. See? These are the emotions
Okay.
its songs made me feel, dancing with the representations of elements of harmony.
That's one interpretation.
Maybe I should label it.
Aw.
Oops. Sorry. Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Brown isn't an element of harmony.
Aw. Celis, what are you?
Thanks, Yona.
Oh, reflecting pool or something?
Heavier
Fountain?
than I thought.
It's for creatures to look at as they honor the tree's memory in quiet thought and contemplation.
Yeah, this is reminding me a lot of Castle
I
Sweet
got some
Castle.
help and guidance from the counselor at our feelings forum back home. Only positive energy will bloom here.
Wait! You can't go yet!
Okay, Yona, I see that you're gonna be the one to
Puppet show of the time the
fix
tree
this.
tested us in the catacombs under the School of Friendship. Hey! Stop!
Whoa, that actually looked pretty
Can't
cool.
bring that hunk of junk into my museum.
Dude,
It's not
really?
for your museum. It's for mine.
That ain't bad.
So leave it outside.
It
Whoa.
goes in here.
Oh no! And just like that, everything gets ruined. It just. Oh. Oh.
Uh-oh.
Oh man.
What did you
Well,
do?
they saved the sapling.
My meditation garden is ruined. Why couldn't you have been more careful?
This never would have happened if you would all just listen to me.
And made the tree some kind of roadside attraction? No thanks.
Now Silverstream is Twilighting.
Twilight is gonna be so mad when she sees what you guys did to the Cave of Harmony.
Yeah, like some rainbow art project was better.
Not cool.
It's impressionism! I'm just glad the tree's in here to see this.
This is all your fault.
I give up.
Quiet! Friends doing this the wrong way.
Wow.
All remembering Tree of Harmony for what Tree was, not what Tree is.
You mean gone?
No! Yona mean even though Tree not here, Tree here. In hearts.
Yes.
Tree made friendship even closer. That's right. We ran away to be together right above this spot. The castle of the two sisters.
And later on, the tree tested us to show us we're stronger as a team.
It did call us all here.
You mean the Tree of Harmony lives on in our friendship?
Wow. I can't believe we just got schooled by a yak.
Yes, no, things not forever. That's why smash and rebuild. I think we took care of the smashing part.
Then maybe we should start
Yeah.
building. Together?
Just one problem. We still haven't decided what we should do for the tree.
Yona have idea.
Oh? Okay.
Where did you find it?
Oh, I didn't move it too far. It was kind of heavy.
And you're just mentioning this now.
What important
Well,
is
you
the
didn't
goal
ask.
of these branches so friends can rebuild? Rebuild what exactly?
Ooh, I know! Something that represents what the tree is. The gateway to our friendship. Yes!
Okay.
What ponies call it? Club home?
A treehouse.
That's a great idea. I know the tree would have liked that.
What? Oh. Okay. What is this gonna look like when this is all
Help me
done?
lift this piece.
We celebrate our friendship.
Get a song!
We celebrate the tree.
The memories inside us will build for all to see.
The tree brought us together. And even though it's gone,
Our monument to friendship.
can make the gift live on.
A piece from me, a piece from you. We'll use the tree and we'll make do.
If things don't fit, there's lots of glue.
Friends don't quit in the end, and together we'll see this through.
It's hard to say farewell.
To something you hold dear.
There goes the sapling.
But goodbye isn't forever. As long as we are here. The tree is in our memory. Its roots have grown deep in our hearts. Deep in our hearts. Its branches raise our spirits together. We're all bound. Forever it stands lost, but now it's found. So lift a beam and build it strong. Work as a team, it won't take
Aww.
Hey, Silver's dream, I think that's wrong.
Aw.
Live the dream and sing our song. And make the tree something all can see in the place where we belong.
Aww.
Well, what do you think?
It's kinda messy.
Yeah, like a bunch of different parts all smushed together.
Oh, it's just like us.
Yes!
Yona thinks it's perfect.
Yes!
Let's
Oh,
give it a try.
absolutely. Oh. Aww. What? What? Ah!
It looks like magic.
What is... What? 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 Whoa! Oh my!
How did that happen?
The spirit of the treehouse would have perished without your selfless deeds and caring. Whenever you seek solace, come here. Your friendship and the friendship of future generations will always be safe within these walls. I felt a burst of magic all the way over at the school. Is every creature okay?
A little confused, but
Twilight,
totally
do you
okay.
see something new here?
Where did this come from?
We were kind of gonna ask you the same thing.
It looks like part of the Tree of Harmony. But how? I thought it was destroyed.
It was. But when we used the broken parts to build something new, this happened.
The tree has always been good at surprises. When Star Swirl planted the tree seed, he didn't even know what it would grow into. I guess the tree is still alive, changing and adapting to be whatever Equestria needs.
A cool place to hang out?
Something tells me this is more than that. It seems the elements of harmony may still be with us in their own way.
That's actually really reassuring.
But why did the tree need our help to become something?
I'm not sure. If I had to guess, I'd say your friendship is more powerful than you know.
Oh, Yona knows. Yona just needs to remind friends.
So, who's gonna give us the tour?
Why don't we all go in? Together.
Wow. Jim and Nicole and all you wonderful people, you've left me stunned and speechless again. After the premiere, I mean, okay, well, some things definitely went a little different than the way I thought, but still certain things are kind of in line with some things I theorized, and I'm gonna need time to process all of this. And after everything that I just got done saying in my commentary in the premiere, I'm not sure even what I'm gonna say about this now, so I don't know, I'll figure something out. You guys stay tuned, I'll be right back. Alrighty. Well, for the first time in the history of FiM, we have a 3-part season premiere. I have never seen a third episode so closely follow the storyline of the 2-part premiere in any of the seasons that we've had to date. And in fact, this one actually kind of overlapped the premiere a little bit in terms of the timeline, as I'm fairly certain that Harmony was calling out to the students either right before or right as Sombra was attacking the tree. But already, I digress. I got a lot of stuff to get to here, so I'm going to try and move as fast as I can and cram all this in for you guys. And in case you need any further proof that the showrunners of this show care about the fandom, just look at this episode. The level of symbolism in this one episode is over 9,000, and it is all aimed squarely at us. So if you think I went deep into my commentary last time, well, hold on to your hats here. First of all, let me establish just a few main points here. I see the main 6 as representing the show and its writers, the Tree of Harmony representing the fandom, and the Young 6 being representative of us, the fans. Now, if you're confused, allow me to clarify this. From what I understand, Hasbro originally requested of the showrunners that a school be introduced into the series, but left it kind of open-ended as to what kind of a school that would be. And what the writers did is came up with Twilight School of Friendship, and along with that, the Young Six, or the Student Six, or whatever you would prefer to call them. It seems to me that the Young Six were created to represent us, the fans and viewers of the show. We come from all over the world, from all different backgrounds and cultures, but we share at least one thing in common, which is our desire to experience and share the magic of friendship. The way in which the main six are passing on their lessons of friendship to these young students is symbolic of the way that the show has taught us these lessons over these past several years. I think the writers wanted to use this school to make it clear that this knowledge and wisdom should be shared and passed on to future generations. Now with the season premiere, we're faced with a major change in the status quo, where the main six are going to be moving on to much bigger responsibilities, and of course we see Twilight freaking out about this. This is symbolic of how the show is ending, and the people are, some people are leaving the fandom. Many of those left in the fandom feel like their whole world is just kind of coming apart and changing too fast, and they're just not prepared to deal with life after the show quite yet, just like Twilight isn't quite ready for this next big step. And of course, when the tree was destroyed, again representing the fandom, that kind of felt like a visual representation of what a lot of fans think will happen to the fandom after the show ends. It's dead. But then, the tree, knowing it was about to die, reached out to the students, which, again, represent us, and the fans, and because it knew it would need their or our help to save it. Students rallied together to try and find a way to honor the memory of the tree, just as we hope to find a way to keep the memory of our show and fandom alive. And of course, they struggled at first, until Yona pointed out that they needed to focus on what the tree is, rather than what it used to be. And just like how we need to accept that the fandom is changing, and it's better to embrace what it's becoming rather than what it always used to be. They're trying to hold on to what it used to be. The students' efforts ultimately resulted in that cute little clubhouse built out of the remnants of the tree, which is admittedly a much lesser version of what we used to have. And that kind of symbolizes what we think the remains of the fandom will actually look like after the show ends. What the students did not realize is that their friendship was so much stronger than they ever knew, and that power saved the spirit of the tree and transformed it into a place of solace both for this and future generations. Likewise, the fans of this show have created a fandom that is far more grand than so many people realize. A place that is warm and welcoming welcoming to all in a cold, harsh world. And because of our efforts, it can live on far beyond the end of the show itself. I will say once again, this is our legacy. It only dies if we allow it to. Also, keep in mind that Harmony could have sought the power of the main six to save it, but it instead chose to request help from the students. As I've mentioned before, the world is changing, and one change often requires other changes as well. The main six are fantastic friends and are very powerful, but they aren't necessarily the best suited to remain the heroes of the story anymore. At least not in the same type of role. The students, having overcome even their cultural backgrounds with friendship, are, in my opinion, much better suited to now take on the task of spreading the magic of that friendship beyond the borders of Equestria, bringing it to all the masses. On that note, let's talk a little bit about the students and their cultural differences. This one episode has given us a wealth of new details about their cultures, as well as some great character growth. For starters, yes, they really hit it off as friends in the beginning, but as we well know, even the best of friends can have arguments, and we finally got to see a big one from these kids. Granted, there is definitely some conflict between them back at Hearthwarming Club, but not really to this extent, in my opinion. And more often than not, we've actually seen the students kind of putting the main six to shame in terms of behaving the way good friends should. In this case, though, their cultural and personality differences really came into focus and created a conflict. They all agreed that the loss of the Tree of Harmony was devastating and that some kind of memorial was needed. However, they all had different ideas about the best way to accomplish that. Just kind of like we all have different ways on how we think the fandom should be saved. Just to look through these briefly, Sandbar, being an Earth Pony, thought it would be best to plant and grow a real tree in its place. Makes sense. Gallus, coming from a rather, shall we say, merchandise-oriented culture, that decided to turn the whole site into a sort of a roadside attraction, complete with collectible items for sale. Now, to be clear, I don't think greed or profit were really at all in his mindset here. Rather, it's just the general over idea that he got due to the influences of the environment that he grew up in. And I really hope FiM and FLAM actually don't discover this guy because, well, I'm sure you can imagine what might happen there. And by the way, I give Gallus major props for actually creating that whole storefront and all that merchandise and whatnot in very short order. Moving on to Silverstream, as a hippogriff, her culture is one that I personally perceive to be very rich in various forms of artistic expression, and she tried to paint a mural that represented how she personally saw the tree and elements. Ocellus, being from the new Changeling Kingdom, which we've seen display a very strong sense of community and peaceful spiritual reflection, tried to create a sort of a Zen room. As for Smolder, from what we've seen of Dragon culture, I wouldn't really have guessed that they would be all that much into art, sculptures and whatnot, but she really nailed that rock sculpture. You could say she even rocked it. I promised myself I wasn't going to do that. I couldn't resist. I'm sorry. Anyway, I guess all I can say in terms of her culture, though, is that as a dragon, her choice of medium was quite appropriate for that sculpture. I mean, she was just tearing into that rock like none of the others could have. And that brings us to Yona, who didn't really get involved at first, and instead was just trying to find a way for them to all peacefully work together somehow. And I do have to say it's kind of a little ironic and rather interesting that someone from a culture who likes to just haphazardly smash everything, she ends up being sort of the peacemaker of this group and trying to hold them together rather than smash everything apart. And now, this whole situation in this episode is actually very similar to the way that the main six all tried to help Twilight settle into her new castle after losing the Golden Oak Library by each decorating it the way that they thought was best. This was back in Castle Sweet Castle, episode 3, I believe, of season 5. Actually, in both situations, an important tree was lost, and they were all trying to cope and make the best of a bad situation. In Castle Sweet Castle, the main six weren't really giving any thought as to what would make Twilight feel at home at first, and instead were focusing on how they themselves would feel at home, surrounding it with things that they found to be homey and inviting. When they finally got past themselves and focused on what was important to Twilight, they properly honored the memory of the library tree by mounting its roots in the castle and hanging pictures of all their memories together from the roots. It really wasn't even so much the tree roots themselves as it was the effort that each one of them put into the memories, or that put into the project to remind Twilight that her real home is with her friends. In this case, as I mentioned earlier, Yona pointed out that they were too fixated on what the tree used to be. But when they got past that and worked together in harmony, they succeeded in creating a memorial that truly honors the original Tree of Harmony, something that can be enjoyed by generations to come. Likewise, if all we do at this stage is argue about the best way to save the fandom, we won't do anything of the sort, because our bickering and infighting will just tear us apart, and we'll just end up letting the fandom fall into ruin. Instead, the very act of working together and sharing our talents and ideas that's what created the fandom in the first place, and that's what's going to keep it going. So that's what we should be focused on. So in the end, we see that the Young Six have survived one of their first really big disagreements here, and their friendship is now stronger than ever, as is their connection with the spirit of the tree. And I really can't wait to see what great things are in store for them the rest of the season. And I'm still kind of wondering whether or not Twilight is actually aware that Harmony has manifested in this physical form looking just like her or not. I mean, it kind of was poked at the beginning of this episode, but wasn't really made clear. So I would really like to reach a point where Twilight and Harmony confront each other, because that could be quite fun. Oh, and one last thing to note, or on this note here, Yona, during that whole conflict, said that yaks know things not forever. That's why smash and rebuild. That is an amazing little gem of wisdom right there. And that, in a nutshell, is sort of a poke at Generation 5. Gen 4 obviously couldn't last forever, so Hasbro's ending it and beginning again fresh with Gen 5. And that line really kind of gives some significant insight into Yak culture as a whole. They do not believe in hanging on to old things for sentimental reasons. They build one thing for a specific purpose, and when that purpose has been fulfilled, they tear it down and build something else that they now need. Perhaps it's a little bit on the extreme side in some cases, everything in moderation, but at the very least, they understand that change is a necessary and healthy part of life. I also love seeing the cultural differences that came into play when each one of them were getting their different permission slips, like, dragons have to apparently arm wrestle for it, and Acelas had to... it looks like she had to get permission from every single member of her brood or family there, including little babies, which were absolutely adorable. So anyway, just some fun little differences there. And I have to say, I was actually rather surprised when Thorak showed up, but even more so when he was the only one of the Guardians that showed up. He really did have a valid point, where the last time the students ran away from home, it nearly caused an international war. So they do have to be a bit careful on this subject. The peace between the nations is still rather fragile, though I do expect it to be much more solid by the time this season is over, since they're most likely going to be coming together against a common foe and all that fun stuff. As for the dream the students had at the beginning of the episode, I'm really not quite sure what to make of that. They seem to be experiencing their worst fears to some degree, or at least fears in general. But while some of them reflected on the things that they'd faced back in the catacombs and what lies beneath, others were completely different. And on that note, good grief, poor Yona has reached the point where she is literally having nightmares about plunging almost to her death. Writers, can we please stop almost killing Yona? She deserves better. And also, I would absolutely love to see Silverstream as an actual Wonderbolt. And Spitfire, I think, would definitely approve of that, of her superhero landing skills. Anyway, what's more interesting about the dreams, not so much the content of them, but the fact that Harmony seems to have created a shared dream state for them. Something that only Princess Luna has been able to do up until now. And not only that, Harmony did so over ridiculously huge distances, spanning several countries outside of Equestria's borders. And I do also have to point out that Celestia and Luna's cutie marks were on the original Tree of Harmony. I'm not really sure what to make of that at this time, other than it seems like more than just a coincidence. Like maybe Harmony had a role in Celestia and Luna's special abilities back when they got their cutie marks or something. Unclear. I'm just saying it's interesting correlations here, and we'll have to see if that ever actually goes anywhere. That aside, though, one of the theories I voiced in my last commentary did, in fact, come true already, in that Harmony foresaw the attack on the tree, which I believe is why she had been testing the students in order to know that she could call on them for help in her time of need. I also predicted that the tree would most likely grow back somehow, but I never imagined it happening quite like this, or that it would happen so quickly. I thought this would be stuff that would happen in the season finale, or at least closer to the end of the season, which leaves me to wonder just exactly what kind of other big stuff is coming in the finale. Only time will tell. So, that's this episode specifically, but I have a lot more notes to go here. After reflecting on some things, I came to realize I did leave an awful lot of analysis and whatnot out of my commentary on the premiere itself. And since this is kind of part of the, overall premiere here, like a big three-parter, I decided I'm going to go back and talk some more about some things that were in the actual official premiere two-parter. So, on that note, I'm going to start with Celestia and Luna. They honestly kind of disappointed me a bit in the premiere. Not because of their lack of help, because this is one of the rare times where they actually did show up and help. Also not because they're retiring, because I think they're totally deserving of that. No, after all these years of mentoring Twilight, they should have known full well how she was going to respond to the news that they were naming her as their successor. And we're going to be turning over the administration to of the entire country in just 4 days. Not only that, but after springing that on her, They stood there watching Twilight hyperventilate right in front of them and didn't seem to express any kind of concern about that whatsoever. Now, perhaps that's because they figured it's just classic Twilighting and that it wasn't really that big of a deal, but frankly, that's still no excuse. And even that aside, it seems like they weren't even really going to give any warning to anyone else in the rest of the kingdom either. I mean, this is literally the first transition of power that Equestria has ever had in its entire 1,000 plus year history. And not only does Twilight need some time to adjust to this, but so do all the other citizens of Equestria. Now, while I have never personally subscribed to the idea that Celestia and Luna are actual deities, they are still, at the very least, very well loved and respected by their subjects overall, and Celestia, at the very least, has been a solid foundation for the country continuously for over a millennium. Having Luna come back was, of course, a shock to many, but Celestia was still primarily in charge of the day-to-day tasks of running the country and whatnot, so it wasn't really that hard of an adjustment overall. Now, both of them are stepping down, and Twilight and her friends are taking their place, which is likely going to be a hard pill to swallow for some of the citizens of Equestria. Lost my place again. I am so sorry. So, okay, yeah, it's going to be kind of a hard pill to swallow for some, despite all the numerous times that they've literally saved Equestria from certain doom. I will honestly be shocked if we don't see some kind of resistance from somebody somewhere to this transition of power at some point this season. I mean, they aren't friends with absolutely everyone, so there's bound to be some clamor about this. But anyway, like I mentioned in my last commentary, I'm at least happy that Celestia and Luna realized their mistake in this matter and back down from trying to rush this transition. Like Celestia said, a great leader needs to have the courage to admit when they've made a mistake and the strength to make it right. And she herself fulfilled that very definition in that moment by admitting that they'd pushed Twilight too hard on this. Oh, and just on a side note, now that the new Tree of Harmony has grown up into the ruins of the Castle of the Two Sisters, I'm not entirely certain that my prediction about them fixing up their old castle is actually going to come true. I guess it just depends on whether or not they're fine with having that giant tree there and just rebuild the castle around it. And, that perhaps might even make it an even more inviting place to come visit. So we'll just have to see what happens. And for an extra bit on Twilight here, I have to say, despite all her flaws, she's matured an awful lot over the years, as I've talked about in some of my past commentaries. Overall, I fully believe she is worthy and deserving of the honor of becoming the true leader of Equestria. That said, she still has some things to work on. Twilight, with what I'm calling her tactical planning skills, does quite well at managing things when events that are happening fall within all of the scenarios that she's planned and prepared for. It's her ability to think fast and gracefully handle unexpected situations that's one of her biggest weaknesses at this point. In the past, she's made a number of mistakes when this happens, including shouldering too much of the burden on her own, pushing her own friends away, looking for quick fixes by begging for help from others, lying, even stealing, as we saw in the movie. Now, to be fair, there's also been times when she has remained rather calm and collected and acted with grace similar to that of Celestia. So I definitely believe that she's capable of this. Really, it just seems like her ability to stay cool and act with grace is directly proportional to the level of impact that these unexpected events are having. And when it comes to things that threaten the stability and safety of Equestria as a whole, that's where she tends to really break down. Here in the premiere, she first went for the quick fix, i.e. the elements of harmony, and then when they lost those, she repeatedly said that she didn't know what to do, and then resorted to begging Discord for help. Again, I still believe Twilight is capable of being a good leader, but she's going to have to learn to not keep losing her mind every time something catches her off guard, and to rely on her friends and allies to take action and provide counsel, and just overall be more of like a commander-in-chief than a frontline hero. We joke about the princesses never doing much, but if you take a close look, you'll see that a lot of what Celestia did was lead by mentoring and appropriately delegating tasks. Just because you're the supreme leader doesn't mean that you always have to be the hero. A great leader acts as an anchor, a foundation, someone that others can expect to stand firm and support them in their combined efforts. Celestia was all about knowing which of her subjects and allies were best suited to help resolve various situations, and saw to it that those relationships were developed and individuals mentored as needed to help them rise to the challenge. With the main six now transitioning into this role themselves, they are going to be faced with the same type of situation, where they themselves aren't necessarily going to be the ones on the front lines anymore, but rather will most often be the ones mentoring and guiding the efforts of others, such as the Young Six. I will be very curious to see how Twilight will rise to this challenge as the season progresses. I think all the things she's learned have done well to prepare her for this, and I think she'll do quite well, but it's still a big adjustment to make. So no offense to Discord, but Twilight definitely does need just a bit more time to kind of adjust and figure this all out. On the topic of Discord, I kind of neglected to talk about him much at all. So, ever since Season 4, we've been seeing a lot of interesting lessons being taught in Discord's own unique way. Quite honestly, I think he's become about as much of a mentor to the main six as the princesses are. I still don't know how he seems to know so much about what's going to happen and how to steer the main six in the right direction the way he does, unless he somehow looked into the future himself. But given his performance in the premiere, I'm actually starting to wonder if he had actually started turning evil again back when he teamed up with Tyrek, or if he knew exactly what he was doing the whole time and just played along with Tyrek in order to push the main six to dig deep and find the strength that they needed to defeat him on their own. After all, that was a very similar situation as to what they faced here with Sombra, and right before he supposedly went back to the dark side, he was pointing out passages in their friendship journal that gave them clues about the key objects. To me, it just never really made much sense that he would be that interested in helping them figure out that puzzle and then turn right around and switch sides so easily. Perhaps he was just faking it then as well and allowed his own magic to be taken in order to help them get the last key item, and which also removed himself as an ally so that they were forced to find another way to deal with the situation instead of just begging for his help. After all, that wasn't too terribly long after they had lost access to the elements of harmony the first time around, and were afraid of how they would be able to defend Equestria from evil without them, just like they were again now with Sombra. He knew then that they had the power they needed, and it seemed like now that they had the elements again and lost them again, they needed yet another reminder that those ultimately were just a crutch that were holding them back from their true strength. Now, maybe I'm completely wrong about this. It is a bit of a wild theory. Maybe he really did just switch sides, back to the evil side again for a short time. But regardless, it's very clear that Discord has some amazing insight into the strength and abilities of the main six, and he has a very unique way of sharing that insight with them and pushing them to rise to the occasion when needed. He's not perfect by any means, and he obviously loves to troll others, but I love that there are moments like this where he just rises past that and finds the way to be truly helpful to their cause. And I realize there's been some speculation as to whether he will turn evil here again and help Grogar, but based on everything I personally have seen, I highly doubt that will ever happen, at least not of his own volition. And on the subject of deja vu from past seasons, something else occurred to me. The story arcs of Tyrek and Sombra in a lot of ways were nearly identical. I mean, they both basically consist of the following. Neutralize all the citizens of Equestria, destroy a tree, rob the main six of all their powers, eliminate Discord as an ally, and then be sitting on the very brink of complete world domination, only to suddenly get nuked by convenient, mysterious, and unforeseeable reserve magic powers. Follow that up with the fact that both of these events were followed up by an episode to make something new out of the old destroyed tree in the episodes Castle Sweet Castle and here in Uprooted. Now, I know some people love to get upset over recycled story ideas. I personally don't have a problem with this, especially because each of these situations had its own unique version of these events. In fact, I think that may have very well been intentional, in that it shows that the villains are realizing that they themselves keep trying the same tactics over and over and continue to fail every single time. It's been said that the definition of insanity is trying the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. You know, this realization will likely result in a new kind of plan from Grogar that is something that's never been attempted before. Not only will they now have strength in numbers, but also a whole new strategy that's probably going to catch our heroes off guard. I can't honestly imagine what that even looks like at this point, but whatever it is, I'm sure it's going to be epic. As for Sombra as a villain, well, it seems that there's been a lot of mixed opinions about him and his personality and whatnot. I do admit that he's definitely a bit different than I had imagined in terms of his personality. I had imagined him as much more sinister and cunning type of villain, but he turned out to be much more flamboyant, egotistical, and overconfident. Kind of almost like he's an evil version of Prince Blue Blood, if you want to draw a comparison. All that said, I'm not actually really disappointed by this, despite it being kind of a cliche. Like I mentioned before, I think this is actually quite intentional because he was supposed to be the villain that makes the same tired, cliche mistakes over and over again, you know, that ultimately cause failure every single time. And he did that in order to basically prove Grogar's point for him. Also, I honestly never even expected him to get that much of a story arc of his own. Let's go back again. Because yeah, I mean, I theorized that he would come back as part of this group of villains, but I thought he would just be part of the group and as such wouldn't get all that much individual focus. So just the fact that he actually got a focused character arc, however short, makes me happy. And one last thing I want to mention on that is that, yes, I did see that Sombra did not have a cutie mark, which was a little bit of a surprise. And that does seem significant at first, but given that he's an Umbrum, i.e. a shadow pony, which we don't really know much of anything about, you know, maybe that's perfectly normal. Now, I will say, I haven't read all the comics and stuff, and I know that's where some of this information about Sombra came from. So maybe I'm saying something that is in conflict with the content of those comics. But as far as I know personally, there is no canon lore that states that Umbrums are capable of getting cutie marks. And honestly, there are far more creatures in this world that don't get cutie marks than do. So it really would not be all that surprising, aside from the fact that he actually does have a pony form. And as far as we know, all ponies can get cutie marks. So a little bit of a question mark. Is it really relevant? Probably not, but you know what? Fanfic material. So, yeah, that's basically a wrap for this truly epic season premiere. As best as I can tell, I have talked about everything I can possibly think of to talk about this now. So, and I would say, given the events of Uprooted here, and the fact that it is, for all intents and purposes, a part 3 of the premiere story, I'm going to go ahead and say that this is definitely the best premiere of any season in the show to date. Super high rewatch value in this for me, personally. And I can't wait to see what all... Oh, and yeah, now the very next episode, which I actually get to watch in just a couple days here, is episode 200. And I'm sure that's going to be one of the best episodes we have ever seen in the show, period. I mean, we saw what all kinds of crazy things the writers came up with for us back in Slice of Life, episode 100. So this is going to be good, whatever it is. So on that note, I will see you again soon, very soon, for another reaction. Later.